Good day, my friends. My name is Vince Conaway. I'm here to bring you a little bit of hammered dulcimer music. The hammered dulcimer is an ancestor of the piano that goes back at least 900 years. It's probably even older, but that's what we can prove. It's not hard, it's just a lot of practice. And I think practicing is fun. That is an original tune of mine. I call it Il Camerino. I wrote it backstage at a busker festival in Austria. Now, when I'm not performing at Renaissance festivals and medieval events, I like to travel, and I help to pay for my travels as a street performer, as a busker. Now, although I wrote the song in Austria, I gave it an Italian title, Camerino, because the rest of the music on that album was music that was inspired by my early busking tours in Italy. That particular tour was in 2007, I believe. But I've been able to make it back to Italy most years since. Might be considered a little bit obsessed. Now, I am of Italian descent, although you can't tell it because I look so much like my Irish father. But if you look at the nose and the eyes, you can see the Italian heritage. This next song is a folk tune from central Italy, the region of Umbria, where my grandmother is from. My grandmother is from the city of Perugia, when I'm traveling in Italy and I describe my heritage, the way that I describe it depends on where I am. If I'm in my grandfather's region of Abruzzo, I tell everyone very proudly, my grandfather is Abruzzese. My grandfather was Teatino, even, from the city of Chieti, from the province of Chieti. But everywhere outside of Abruzzo, the Abruzzese are seen as regional rivals in a lot of the neighboring areas. So, I instead say, my grandmother was from Perugia, and no matter where I am in Italy, anywhere I've been, I always get the same answer. Ah, bella Perugia. And Perugia, if you haven't been, veramente, truly is bella. It's one of my favorite cities in Italy. It's a shame about the cops and their busking regulations. This is an Umbrian tune called La Furlana. Originally, it's a folk dance. And it's one of my personal favorites. Now, this next song is also Italian, but a little bit older, at least provably so. Now, this song has two titles because the composer, Girolamo Cenci, published it twice. The second time he published it with lyrics. And thanks to the brilliance of my dear departed friend Owen Fife, that is the version that's a little more familiar. It's called Fuji, Fuji, Fuji. But before publishing a version with lyrics, Cenci published an instrumental version. And he called that one La Mantovana, the Mantuan. I believe it's a shortened form of La Danza Mantovana, the Mantuan dance. And I have had the pleasure and the privilege of playing this song on the streets of Mantua in northern Italy. However, I didn't play there very long because I knew, having done my research and my homework, that what I was doing was not exactly legal. So before I could get yelled at by the officials, I played a very short set, including this song, on my way out of town. I played tourist for a couple days, and on my walk to the train station, I set up, put my suitcase under the dulcimer, and played a set. Not least of which, just so that I could say I had done it. This is La Mantovana, also known as Fuji, Fuji, Fuji. Now, while I'm playing 16th century Italian music, this next one is by my favorite composer of all time, Francesco Canova da Milano. Now, Francesco Canova was such a brilliant lute player, such an incredible improviser, that they called him the Divine One. He was known as Il Divino in his own lifetime. And I can't imagine how that would go to your head. Now, musicologically, Francesco Canova was important because he helped to popularize instrumental music as an independent art form, where it wasn't just dance music and it wasn't music written for vocals played instrumentally, where it was its own special thing. He didn't invent the form, but he did a lot to help popularize it. Now, one of the forms that he did so, one of his most characteristic and best known, was for the fantasia, Italian for a fantasy. It is not pronounced fantasia, no matter what Disney might tell you, but a fantasia is a delightful little way to write a tune because there aren't any rules. That's the point of it being a fantasy. All of the rules of the Middle Ages have fallen behind, and you just play stuff that sounds neat. And I particularly enjoy Francesco Canova's because he's got a very whimsical sense to him, and I really enjoy that delightful bit of whimsy in my music. This is specifically his Fantasia number 11. This next tune is an original of mine, and I've named it after the city where I wrote it. It's a city in Tuscany, not far from Florence, called Pistoia. And I happen to be delighted by it. I enjoy getting outside of the major tourist centers of Tuscany as much as I love Florence, Pisa, Lucca even, and Siena. I find it incredibly charming to get outside of those areas to see the more local side of the Tuscan experience. And if you listen closely and know what you're listening for, you can tell that when I wrote this, I was listening to a lot of symphonic heavy metal. proud of that piece. Now I'm going to head back to 16th century Italy for a bit. This is a dance piece called Greca Amoroso. It's one of those fun pieces you can find being danced both in the SCA and at your local Renaissance fair. It's got a fun, chipper little tune that I have a lot of fun with. Now, my friends, I'm afraid it's time for me to end this show. However, you can find me online playing more concerts all over Facebook, all over YouTube. If you join my Patreon, you'll not only get all of the concerts I do everywhere else, but you'll also get a lot of special and specific goodies. If you've enjoyed the show and would like to toss something into my virtual tip jar, you can find links to my Venmo and my PayPal, and also my Patreon, on my website, vinceconaway.com. Thank you very much for listening. And I look forward to a time when we can meet again in person. I'm going to wrap up with a tune that I wrote a number of years ago called February. And I was playing this song on the streets of Naples, Italy. I was playing in Napoli. And I was playing this song, and a cop walks up and he stands right next to my dulcimer. And as a busker, I have a fraught relationship with law enforcement. But in Italy, you're not in big trouble. If you're not supposed to be there, they'll wait for you to pause, be polite, and then say, go away. And then you go away, and you never get arrested, and you never go to jail, and you never certainly get attacked. One reason that I've never played in Spain, for example, is they have a reputation to impound your instruments. That seems like a good way to mess up my day. However, I didn't want to stop playing, and so when this cop comes and stands right next to me, I just don't make eye contact, and I keep going. I'm like, maybe if I ignore him, he'll just wander off. But he's standing right there, and I'm just keep playing, and he's right there. And I reached a point where the song is done. Artistically, the song has been done for 2 minutes. I've just been repeating and repeating myself. And I reached a point where I'm like, okay, all right, finish the song with a flourish, and I think, thanks, Naples, it's been fun. I guess this is goodbye. And the cop looks at me and goes, bravo, and walks on down the street. And it was a total waste of a panic attack. This is February. Thank you very much, my friends. My name is Vince Conaway. You can find my music online at vinceconaway.com. I hope you've been enjoying the music. I hope you're safe and healthy and happy. Have a beautiful day.